Hello everybody, I'm Acelegin. I'm doing a video on the top 10 Daniel-Verse Villains. Just because I felt like it. I don't really have a reason. If you're not a Daniel-Verse fan, then don't bother watching the video, I guess. Also, there's spoilers ahead, so be warned. The villains on the list are being judged based on a number of things, such as how powerful they are, how big of an impact they've had on the storyline, and just their all-around evilness. I'm excluding fears, with the exception of Dying Man shards. Also, I suppose I should mention that for some of the lower numbers on the list, I sort of had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. So now, without further awkwardness, here's number 10. Dark Daniel. It took me a while to decide which of my villains to give this spot to, but in the end I decided that this guy deserved it the most. Daniel Ferris is obviously the protagonist of the Daniel-verse, and Dark Daniel is one of many alternate universe variations of him, one who strongly symbolizes the sin of envy. In Dark Daniel's universe, Benjamin Malcator succeeded in becoming a fear, but in doing so, he was consumed by his inner darkness, and as a result ended up killing all of Dark Daniel's closest friends and relatives. Dark Daniel was understandably pissed off by this and beheaded Malcator, ending his life. Shortly afterwards, Dark Daniel was drawn into the Daniel-verse, where he met the regular Daniel, and realizing that all of his loved ones were still alive in this universe, he made the decision to kill this universe's Daniel and take his place so that he could have back everything that he lost. Something that I like about this particular Daniel is that his motives are somewhat understandable. I imagine that if I was in his predicament, I might consider doing the same thing. Anyway, he clashed with Daniel on a number of occasions, but never succeeded in killing him. Like the regular Daniel, Dark Daniel is a devil killer with the ability to gain new abilities through prolonged exposure to the fears. However, his powers are a lot stronger than Daniel's, and he has enough control over them to initially suppress the mutations that they cause. He's even able to wield multiple fear abilities at once, something which neither Daniel or Paradan could ever accomplish. His chosen weapon is a samurai sword, which he is able to alter the size of using the matter manipulation powers of the empty city. During one clash with Daniel, Dark Daniel lost his control, causing his powers to mutate his body, giving him pale skin, black markings on his face and body, and black and white hair. Upon realizing he could no longer pass for the other Daniel, he suffered from a villainous breakdown and vowed to end Daniel's life even if he could no longer replace them. During their final battle, Daniel was able to defeat Dark Daniel by wielding the one fear power, that of Slender Man, which Dark Daniel had always been too scared to use. After his defeat, the two of them were attacked by the Archangel, and they chose to team up just that once in order to overcome the enemy. Dark Daniel was able to grapple the Archangel from behind and began draining his power and immortality. He then told Daniel to run his own sword through the Archangel, and though Daniel refused at first, as he couldn't do that without killing Dark Daniel as well, Dark Daniel insisted that he was beyond redemption and deserved to die. Daniel, uttering a final apology, stabs the sword through the Archangel's heart, killing them both. So yeah, that's my pick for number 10, who is of course dead now. Moving on, we have my number 9. 3. Named after the Greek monsters sent to hunt down criminals, this character was created as a super weapon by the Archive. Covered in bandages and shrouded in mysteries, little is known about his past, and only the Archive's alphas have access to the information regarding his identity. Even his handler, Martyr Beta, knows nothing. Although the Archive is generally more intent on gathering information than fighting against other servants, those who do cross them have to deal with this superhuman. When ordered to hunt someone down, he will gladly kill them along with anyone else who stands in his way unless he's specifically ordered not to. The Furies Body contains a vast amount of eldritch power, rivaling that of the Fears, and he can use this power as an extension of himself, allowing him to control objects from a distance and levitate himself. He is also able to enter and survive in the God's Way, an ability that he can weaponize by dragging humans through with him, causing them excruciating pain in the process. He's somehow always aware of his surroundings despite the bandages over his eyes, and he is incapable of speech, communicating only through written word and text messages. He has clashed with and killed one of Daniel's parallel universe selves, and managed to push Azalea past his mental limits, causing him to temporarily lose his mind. Everyone the Fury goes up against either dies or is pushed beyond their limits. He is one villain that it's smart not to cross. So there you go, that's my number 9. He is still alive and kicking, and I have big plans for him in the future. Next we have number 8. Silver Mist. I mentioned I'm excluding Fears from the list, but Dying Man shards are okay, and Silver Mist is the evilest one the Daniel-Verse has known. She branched off from fellow Dying Man shard Hellfire, who created her to assist him with something. However, she almost immediately turned on him and went on to become a threat to the other Fears and humanity. She was so evil that in their best interests, the Fears sealed her inside of a magic orb. This orb was eventually found by Dr. Welrick, who performed various experiments on it. Silver Mist eventually escaped by possessing the Lilim Seraph, and continued to cause trouble. Welrick's experiments gave her some cold-based abilities, allowing her to lower the temperature in her immediate vicinity and expel a cloud of freezing cold mist from her mouth. She later attempted to possess Malcator, but was stopped by the Ace of Chaos, who sacrificed himself in an attempt to destroy her. She, however, survived and formed an alliance with Bill Dawson, who allowed her to possess him. The damage she had suffered from the Ace of Chaos's sacrifice caused her powers to become much more unstable, altering Dawson's appearance, but also giving them even greater control over coldness. She continued to attack and consume other Dying Men to make herself stronger, but she eventually was defeated by Estrin Saltone and Hellfire. Hellfire then assimilated her, destroying her consciousness and adding her power onto his own. Alright, 3 down, 7 to go. Now get ready, because here's number... What? No, that's not right. Why are you here? You're not a Daniel-Verse villain. Silly Luca. The real number 7 is Vocallis, living proof that Hatsune Miku is the devil. And yet I can't stop listening to her music. It's just so good. I love this song. Vocallis was a Thoughtborn, a servant of the Fear known as the Manufactured Newborn. She was basically a human mind placed in cyberspace. From there, she was able to take control of the Vocaloid project. The humans involved with it served her out of fear. Crossing her meant crossing her master. That's right, guys. The Vocaloids are a Daniel-Verse villain. Anyway, using the vocal synthesizers and holographic technology, she created a new false body for herself. And with the help of her followers, she built the Chaos Droids. This meant to wage war against the Fears. Of course, if she went through with that, it would cause a great deal of collateral damage, and Daniel Ferris and David Calloway weren't standing for that. The two of them stood up to her and defeated her. Immediately afterwards, Gordon Taylor extracted her consciousness from her machines and revived her as a Shoggoth. Shoggoth. I don't know how that shit pronounced. I'm just going with Shoggoth. Simple that way. She's now loyal to him, and though he's no longer around, she continues to follow the orders he left to her. Also, she plays Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff. Yeah, that's a thing, I guess. Moving on. Okay, next on the list is why am I bothering to film these in between parts? Like, is there a point to me being on camera right now? Forget it. Number 6. William Bill Dawson. He may not be my best villain, but he does get points for refusing to fucking die. Seriously, he's been presumably killed off 3 times, and just came back with a new set of powers each time. See, this is why it's important to double tap. Anyway, Bill Dawson started off as an Egyptologist, which spellcheck doesn't believe is a real word and corrected it to escapeologist, which is a completely different thing. Stupid spellcheck. Anyway, he was a friendly, hard-working man on the surface, but beneath that he harbored a deep dislike of the rest of humanity. During one of his excavations, he discovered the tomb of the thief king Abdalin and stole a diary that he found there. In doing so, he angered the Nightlanders who dwelled there by disturbing their perfect order. They tracked him down and came close to killing him, but upon sensing the darkness within his soul, they decided they could use him instead. They bonded with him, transforming him into the Shadow Man, and in the process they twisted his dislike of humanity into an outright loathing. With the help of the Nightlanders and several other fears, he attempted to recreate the plagues of Egypt, but on a worldwide scale, so that only the fears and their servants would be left to reshape the world as they saw fit. However, Daniel Ferris and Benjamin Malcator foiled his plan. Malcator severed Dawson's bond with the Nightlanders and left him for dead in Abdalin's tomb. However, he was found and transported to an American hospital shortly after. Feeling betrayed and abandoned by the Fears, he joined forces with the wounded Silver Mist so that he could help her regain her power and get his revenge against the Fears and the people who stood against him. He ended up clashing with Estrin Saltone, and Silver Mist was torn away from him. He was then thrown into the river that flows through the dying man's domain, where he supposedly died, again. In Phase 2 of the Daniel-Verse, it's revealed that he survived and has since formed an alliance with the technician and former Game Master servant Angelo Knox. Dawson's now equipped with a suit of high-tech armor that gives him a variety of powers. Although he started off with the fatal weakness of posting his plans on the internet, he has since grown a lot more secretive. His and Angelo's motives remain unclear, but he still seeks to settle the score with his past adversaries. Anyway, that's all I got time for right now. If you disagree with anything on the list, then feel free to leave an insult in the comments section below. I'm pretty sure that's what it's there for. I'll have the top 5 posted later on. Till then, peace out.